With that, we have somebody that I credit with extending our family, the Odom family's legacy. My father faced a critical health challenge in 2000. Dr. John Norris, who is a graduate of Temple University and has quite a prestigious lineup of credentials behind his name. He's a specialist in the field of electrophysiology, and he is the leader of a medical group here in the Atlanta area. I'm sorry, here in the Clearwater area. But I'm going to turn the floor over. Dr. John, are you with us right now?
I'm right here, Wayne. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear
you.
Great. And our sound check didn't go as we wanted to this morning, and we left Dr. John and a few others in the waiting room. But it's my delight to introduce you, Dr. John. And would you, first of all, before we begin, just tell everybody where you live and what city you're in and what your practice is called, the name of your practice.
Sure. I live in beautiful Clearwater, Florida. I'm about 5 minutes from the beach here. It is now 50 degrees here, sun shining. I work out of Morton Plant Hospital, also Largo Medical Center. My business is called Pinellas Arrhythmia Associates. And we have 10 fantastic employees that work in a team effort trying to help people have healthy hearts. And so that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today. If I can just take the floor, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
So Wayne asked me to talk to you about the essentials of a healthy heart. And what I want to do is to start with just really why this is important. And all of you know, I mean, we've had these challenges even today. Pastor Charlie's had challenges. This past year, where the COVID virus has infected literally the globe, there's been a spirit of oppression. And I just want to illustrate that one by talking about a 99-year-old woman that I saw back in December. A delight. Usually the lady would walk in and just be kind of light up our office, always pleasant. When she came in December, 1 week before her 100th birthday, she was bawling, just moved to tears. And she said, "I'm sorry, Dr. Norris, I don't understand it. This has been the worst year of my life." And many of us have had a similar kind of experience. Naomi went on to say that she had lived through the Great Depression. And during the time that she lived, she knew they were poor. They didn't get health care. They didn't get food. Many essentials they did without. And she said, "Dr. Norris, this is worse than that." So we're here separated by Zoom so we can all get our veils, our masks off and actually see each other and interact a little bit. When I think of heart problems, what I think of is Naomi, and obviously she has a very, very healthy heart. But what I saw the day that I described to you with Naomi was that she had a heavy heart. She had a sickness in her heart that was not a physical sickness. And when we look back at the scripture writings, the oldest references to the heart in our literature, there are more than 1,000 in the scriptures that were written thousands of years ago. But in biblical times, what was meant in the scripture is never what we think it means now, namely an organ that's a muscle whose main function is to pump blood. When we think of the heart, we think of that. Instead, in scripture and for centuries, the heart was used to describe the essential nature of man. who we really are, not who we would like to be or who we pretend to be. So when we talk about essentials of a healthy heart, the key thing that we understand is the heart is not just the center of the body's physical functions, but the whole person. And so that involves things like the mind, the spirit, the soul, the flesh. There's a complex interplay between what we call the metaphysical or the non-physical aspects of a human being and their physical body. So the body and the brain is connected to all of this rest of the being that is really our nature. So to have a healthy heart, one must understand the physical and these non-physical aspects of man. So like a healthy physical person, one must learn to work out the non-physical person as well. And that's really what I wanted to spend just our few minutes today to talk about. We realize that many functions of the heart, like I just mentioned, they're all different aspects, but especially this month, and even in secular society, we focus on one aspect, and that is love. We can see, and as you surf through the internet here, you'll see more hearts in the month of February than you see in any other month. So even the secular society around us associates hearts with love. And one of the key things for us to understand is that love from the heart, as it's coming from a healthy heart, is very different from the love that we talk about in our community. And so I want to just, again, very briefly, what I'll say is the love that I'm talking about, that you have in your heart, that then comes out, is number one, intentional. And what I mean by that is for love to be love, it has to be something that you purpose to do for the benefit of another person. Okay. The second thing is that love from the heart has to be sacrificial. In other words, that kind of love has to cost you something. Okay. It can't be just something that you give and do on the way as an aside. And then the third thing is it has to actually be beneficial for the other person. So when we love and we love one another from a healthy heart, that has to be totally others-centered without a concern for a return to us. Now, I know me speaking personally, when I celebrated this holiday that we celebrate going back years and years and years in my life, I would love and I would give gifts and I would have expressions of love. But often in the back of my mind, there was always some kind of consideration for a return or reward that I would receive. And whenever we look at love or doing for others or giving for others with a concern in the back of our mind for ourselves, really what we're doing is we're self-promoting and at the same time not loving that person. And it's a difficulty to really come to grips in our own hearts with that motivation. So it's funny, when we look at scripture, the first description of love in the Bible is in Genesis 6. And where God says when he looked at the heart of man, what he saw was continual evil all the time. And it's interesting because, for us to have a changed heart, we have to recognize that that's the nature of man, that human beings naturally don't love. Human beings naturally have kind of a self-love. And in fact, when we come through and try to understand what love is from a healthy heart, we can then take that love from our hearts and internalize really the love of God and then express it out. So the fourth thing, love is intentional, love is sacrificial, love is beneficial. And the fourth thing that I would say is love is transformational. True love is transformational. It transforms not only the person that you're loving, but it transforms you in the process. Our model, of course, is Jesus himself, who intentionally sacrificed himself completely for the benefit and transformation of others. And this is the key. As we're coming up to this holiday where we celebrate, I was thinking as I rode in this morning, I was listening to a song, and it was called "All You Need Is Love," and that was written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. And many, many years ago, you know, as that song came out, that was a very, very popular song that people, and I think that the adage is true. All we need to get through this COVID crisis, to get through the big issues in our life, to get through these technical issues that come up in our daily lives that really stretch us and test us and sometimes crush us. The only way that we can do it is by receiving the love of God and then expressing that. And so the essentials of a healthy heart is a love that knows and experiences and receives the transforming love of God, and then that imparts that love out to others. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. John. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't know if y'all can give a hand clap. I'm holding the computer in one hand, or else I would do this. I'm actually in a different place. So thank you, Dr. John, and thank you for being our heart pastor and our shepherd with that.